What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome to Leafs Digest. Josh and I are back breaking down Game 4 of the regular season. Toronto Maple Leafs losing to the New York Rangers 2-1 in overtime. Goal from Michael Bunting in this one. But before we get into it, I want to just remind everybody, Josh and I are on the road to 1,000 subscribers right now. If you are not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you do so right now. If not, we will remind you again at the end of the video, so don't worry about it. If it slips your mind while you're listening to all this Leafs content, we understand. It would probably slip our minds too, but as you go out on the end of this video, before you close this one down, before you click X, after you've liked, after you've commented on this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and help the boys get to 1,000 subscribers. Goody. I honestly cannot get over how there was just like a natural feel of excitement and like happiness and jitters and like just the overwhelming emotion of love and joy watching a team play, Toronto Maple Leafs play a team that's from outside of Canada tonight. Like watching the New York Rangers face off against the Toronto Maple Leafs, despite the fact that we lost this game, just felt so good.
Yeah, it's returning to normalcy, and the Canadian division was really fun at first. I think we did a bunch of things to try to hype it up and make it seem like it had more longevity or excitement than maybe it did. I'm really happy that we're returning back to the regular structure because it got old, especially when you can start matching up and figuring out team styles and tempos. It's just better to get the clean slate every time, especially as a team that's looking to contend. It's just a return to normalcy of life. So overall, it did have a certain energy in the air tonight that was refreshing.
I feel like we're going to be so much more connected to the rest of the NHL now. Like it's such a cop-out to say, because if you're obviously, you and I watch NHL games other than just the Toronto Maple Leafs, but like it's a complete different feel when you watch them play against your team or the team you play against all the time, because I feel like you have more comparisons and like direct comparables when you put them against your team, and so it just becomes more enjoyable from that standpoint. Like you feel like you understand what's going on a whole lot more, so it's just so enjoyable from that standpoint. And then the other thing, just finally touching on them playing against a different team, it does feel like things are just back. Like we got the opportunity to have full fans in the stands to play against Montreal Canadiens and the Ottawa Senators, but I'm pretty sure they said the stat was like of our last 20 games or something, we played 17 against the Habs and the Senators. And like at some point it just wears on, and it's like, yeah, we have fans in the building, but this feels like such a tease because we're not fully back. Now we're playing against the New York Rangers in Toronto. We're going to head out and play against San Jose later this week. Like things just feel back to normal. But another thing that helps make things feel back to normal is Austin Matthews debuting tonight for the first time this season with the Toronto Maple Leafs, back from his wrist injury, back from wrist surgery that he had late in this summer. Man, he was flying to start this game. Like, he just came out guns a-blazing. And I think one of the most notable things, and I had mentioned it to you off air, was like they were passing to Matthews to start this game like he was a video game character with a cheat code on him. If you've ever played NHL or you've played like an NBA or an NFL game, and there's one guy on your team who's got some crazy boost, or he's just like on a crazy hot streak, or maybe you're playing NHL and there's a guy like OV on your team and he's got 3 goals and you're trying to get him to 4, trying to get him to 5, and you just feed him the puck the whole game. That's what it looked like they were doing to Matthews early here, but it just kept him going and just kept him buzzing through the entire game.
You got to feed the beast, Philly. He's back in the lineup, and we saw like how many shots on goal did he have? I think going into overtime he had like 6. So I'm assuming he ended with around 8 or 9. Just insane stuff from Matthews. He's all over the ice, underrated playmaker. We already know he's the best goal scorer in the NHL, but he's just got a nose for the puck and a knack for hockey IQ. So he was all over. 8 shots on goal.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And he was snake bitten tonight, but not even to the point where it worries me. Like when I'm looking at Mikheyev play, he's going out and making opportunities sometimes out of nothing. So yes, those will come. He will be finishing on opportunities. I mean, this was just a great return from Matthews despite being held pointless.
Yeah, and I think people have to remember, like, yeah, we'd obviously love to see him score, and like it's too bad that he didn't in this first game back. But this is a guy who hasn't really handled a puck in the last few weeks. Like, yes, he's been on the ice, and you could tell his legs were there. That was evident that his legs were there. But like, even just some of his shots where it's just a little bit off, the one-timers, the quick snapshots where he's like missing the net by a couple inches or just a little wide or things like that, or that final play in overtime where he just couldn't get the stick on it to get it into that empty net there. Like, this is a guy who hasn't really been honest with his stick handling a puck for that much over the last like few weeks. He hasn't been allowed to do that. So it's going to come. Like, the more he gets on the ice over this next week, the more he's handling the puck before he goes into these games this weekend, he's going to get back to it. He's going to get some of that rust off. Like, this is a guy, though, who looked, I mean, despite me saying rust, he looked good to go. Like, he was ready from the jump. So that was great to see.
Yeah, I've got no questions about Austin Matthews' skills. So as long as he comes back out there and looks tenacious and healthy, I'm fully sold. Matthews is back, and we did the right thing trying to find him all night, and it should have paid off. But what a crazy game for the Rangers goalkeeper. I'm not even going to try to say his name because, like, you go ahead and say it first. Like, I'm so bad at this. I'll follow suit.
No, I'm so bad at saying it too. Shesterkin. That's the best way I can say it. Igor Shesterkin.
Okay, we're just going to call him Igor. Igor played really great tonight.
Yeah.
And he was the reason Austin Matthews didn't have like 2 points to his name and a really dominant performance otherwise. But, you know, you would rather see a game like this happen early or in his coming back night than when we're in the middle of a rhythm trying to keep up momentum going into a crucial stretch, right? These are when you kind of want to get all the kinks out. And the New York Rangers tonight sort of looked like what the Maple Leafs have been a lot in recent past, where you get timely scoring, great goaltending to bail you out in an overtime game where you just happen to get, like I said, a real timely one and someone steps up. Like in this case, it was Panarin, you know, like a Matthews for us in the past. Obviously, the Rangers are kind of retooling right now, building their way back up. But I remember it was uncomfortable winning like that, like really uncomfortable. And I do feel this inverse sort of relief now. Okay, we can afford to lose not even 2 points. We got a point going into overtime. But tonight we were the better team. And I just have faith that it'll come.
Well, I think it's like important to note too, despite the fact that we lost this game, like you said, the other game that we lost to the Senators, we're putting up significant numbers of shots against the other team. We're obviously capable of sustaining pressure throughout a long period of time. The big problem here really that we've noticed through these first 4 games is that, and again, it goes to the Mike Babcock saying that he always used to use, is you got to start on time. And through 3 of the first 4 games here, we've opened the game down a goal. We've had to come back in a game from down a goal, which it's great if you're able to come back, but it's a terrible position to constantly have to put yourself in to hope that you can come back in a game. Because we're sitting in a position right now where we're 2-1-1. So you've got 2 wins and you grabbed a point out of one of your losses. Yeah, it's nice to do, but you'd much rather start from a position of strength and a position of power and come out leading the game or hold on to a 0-0 lead, at least until the second period, because the second periods we've looked incredible in every single game that we've played in. It's the first periods we've looked like absolute crap. Like, we just come out and don't look good, and we're down to a lead early in the game, and then we have to fight back.
And it could be a little bit too playing down to your competition, which is, I mean, pick your wording for it, choosing to start on time or playing down. Either way, you're in the same situation where it's not, you're not winning and you're facing a team that you should be. Like, the competition out of the 3 teams we faced so far, I mean, I don't know. I guess the Rangers or the Sens, one of them is the best team we've faced. And that's saying a lot. To me, I just feel like we should have had a better showing right now against how crummy these teams are, but it's early in the season. You're right. Starting on time is going to be a huge thing, but it just puts me on that thought of, okay, we also can't play down though either, because that is sort of how it's felt these first few games, but we'll figure it out. At least we've got some good fundamentals, and once the goals start coming, then the wins will too.
Yeah, for sure. But I just think it's like very important to have that first period, because I honestly look at how we've gone throughout these first 4 games, and like that's my biggest knock at this point, is like that first period each and every game has killed us, because we've had these games where we put up 40 plus shots and we're just peppering the other goalie. Like, Shesterkin has to make 40 saves tonight in a 41 shots on goal. Austin Matthews, 8 shots on goal. At the point in which they said in the broadcast that he had 6 shots on goal, he had 10 attempts. Like, they're just peppering these goaltenders, bringing like constant pressure, but it doesn't start usually until halfway through the first period or at some point in the second. And if you can start that from the first period, I think your team, the success that this team will have, will be greatly increase and like much more likely to be winning games and put it in a much better position to win games if they can open up strong. One line that has looked really strong, or did look really strong tonight, and two of the three components of that line who have looked really strong, in my opinion, through the first 4 games, is the Kerfoot, Kasha, Kampf line. Kerfoot got added to that line tonight, became the third wheel there, with Matthews coming back and some line reshuffling. But I really think that third line looked really good. I don't know how I feel about Engvall still being on that fourth line. I think Amadio kind of deserves a chance with Spezza and Simmons. But as far as the depth goes and these 4 lines that you can roll out, I like what I see from them because you've got a first line with Austin Matthews who could potentially score 50 goals. William Nylander, who looks like an transformed player on that second line. Michael Bunting, 2 goals into this first 4 games of the season so far. Now you go to a third line that can bring constant pressure, be incredibly responsible defensively, and chip in for scoring here and there. And then you go to just a veteran fourth line that brings pressure and hockey IQ constantly. Like, I think that third line with Kerfoot on the wing there could be a very beneficial line to this Leafs lineup as it goes forward.
Yeah, I agree. No, the third line does look super legit, and then Camp's going to win you a ton of draws, and that's going to help them be a checking line too. Overall, I love our depth play tonight and sort of just into the early part of the season. But to me, I would say that the fourth line's been even more impressive when you consider that, yeah, they're your fourth line. These are literally your bottom 3 forwards that you have in the lineup, and they're out there. They drew 2 penalties tonight. Yeah. Jason Spezza was just making all the right decisions.
I love that guy, man. I love Jason Spezza.
He to me was like the third best player on the ice tonight. Like behind like Rielly and Matthews, I guess, and Campbell, but he was right there in like your top 5 performers of the night, I thought, for the Leafs. And Spezza did everything right. I think Wayne Simmons still, we sleep on how great of a hockey player he is. He's not just an enforcer at this point in his career. He can do a lot of things for you, especially in that bottom 6. And then Engvall, I actually disagree. I think Engvall's really proven his stock in the bottom part of the lineup right now. I know I had that one game where I wasn't big on Amadio. I do know Amadio is like a solid player, but I just feel like Engvall, like he hasn't lost his opportunity yet, and I think it's his to lose. So if Engvall starts to slump, then sure. But tonight, his line looked good. He's already scored this season. Like I'm all for keeping him in at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. I just feel like I'm not like 100% sold on him having that position. I guess is kind of the where I sit on it more than anything. I don't necessarily. I agree with you. I don't think he's like lost that spot. I just don't know if I'm like 100% convinced. Like it's his. I think there's opportunity for other guys sliding in and out. But yeah, I just think like one thing that's huge with that third line, which I don't know if people or like fans are appreciating as much as we maybe should be, is how good Kampf is on draws. Like this guy is just constantly winning them, and it puts us at such a great advantage to start each and every play when you can win draws like that. It is so beneficial. But one guy we did mention kind of in there in that scoring depth is Michael Bunting, who's grabbed himself 2 goals so far through the first 4 games. This guy, I said it when we talked about it before in one of the other episodes that we did. Every time I watch him, he just feels like an NHL player. Like, it's crazy to me sitting here thinking about, like, where this guy was last year in Arizona and throughout the summer, how everyone was kind of like, what could this guy be? Like, who is Michael Bunting? And watching him play tonight, everything about him through these first 4 games. And I mean, hey, this could completely go downhill. You never know, like, knock on wood that it doesn't. But everything about him is just like, this guy's an NHL player. Like, when I look at Kerfoot, I think, like, he's an NHL player. Sometimes the consistency isn't there and you want more from him. But I kind of see Bunting in the similar role, but just better, like, more consistent through at least these first 4 games.
Definitely. And for anyone still wondering who he is as a player, he's the best Zach Hyman replacement you could have found, and especially for that price. He's not going to put up what Hyman's put up, but I mean, he does all the same things. He gets the puck to the net by any means possible. He doesn't try to do too much. He hustles in between every single play of touching the puck. Like to me, checks all the boxes for effort, which was what we loved from Zach Hyman. And he has no problem cleaning up in front of the net, which was what Hyman did as well. I'm not trying to paint this comparison too directly, but we've got a really good player right now in Michael Bunting. And what makes it special is you can tell he wants to stick with this organization. You can tell how much it means to him. He just looks ultra motivated. And I mean, for the price we're getting him at, that's awesome. Like, I definitely think this will be one of those depth guys that come playoff time. If we do end up making a big splash, he'll probably be one of the bigger reasons why.
Yeah, I agree. And I also want to shout out John Tavares, who grabs his 200th point as a Toronto Maple Leaf on that Michael Bunting goal tonight. And also, I want to shout out Morgan Rielly, who I thought played a really good game tonight. I think the defense in general played pretty well. I think Dermott had a good bounce back game. I think the only person really on that defense who didn't look good tonight was Justin Hall. Hopefully, he can sort his way through it. Maybe he's just a little bit sick. He's got the flu game and his brain's not all the way in it. I don't know. But he just didn't look that great tonight. But again, like Morgan Rielly, even on that Bunting goal, it's just a good heads-up play to join the rush. Makes a good pass in front of the net, a good heads-up play. Again, making that pass across the Bunting. It's obviously not the most beautiful goal you'll ever see in the game of hockey, but he's in the right place, the right time, crashing the net, getting a greasy goal, and you love to see it from both guys. And then Morgan Rielly just joining the offense makes it a whole lot more potent. Even him shooting the puck on the power play just expands the threats that power play has and makes the defense have to respect you completely differently. So shout out to Morgan Rielly, because I think if he can continue to play like that on a consistent basis, he will become a threat, and he will be someone who is very, very dangerous for this Leafs offense. He's somebody that could become a problem every single night for the opposing team. But before we get too far into this, let's do our Pappy power play of the day. So I'll start this one off, and I want to shout out the one guy who's been getting an incredible amount of love from the fans in Toronto. You hear it every time the puck comes in the Toronto zone and he makes a huge save. That would be Jack Campbell. This guy makes 21 saves tonight, a .913 save percentage. Yes, they lose the game, I get it, but this guy, and he didn't face that many shots, but he was making some incredible timely saves. Like, he was making big saves, he was making flashy saves, and he was making just very calm, poised saves all at the same time. But the play of the day to me is the poke check on the 2-on-1 pass from Zibanejad to Kreider in the third period, late in the third period there. Because if he does not make that poke check, that is a goal right there. That ends the game basically in the third period, and we don't grab a point from overtime. Yeah, you'd love to see the team push it and win in overtime, but to be able to grab a point is much better than getting nothing. And for him to make that play, just on top of how poised he looked throughout the entire game, how calm he looked back there, Jack Campbell earns my Poppy power play of the day.
Yeah, no, he was full clutch Gene tonight when we needed him to be. I know we ended up losing in overtime, but hey, Jack Campbell's the guy I got for my power play of the day as well. Similar to what you were saying, very late in the game there, I'm going to go with the glove save he had right in the money zone, in the slot. From, I want to say, Zibanejad, it was in on a 2-on-1, went to go roof it, and he honestly was looking at Twine the whole time. Yeah. But then Jack Campbell just sits back in his net, lifts up the glove, has it right there. It was so hype. And that was an opportunity right there where we could have lost that point that you just pointed out. It's very crucial for us to pick up. It was big for morale, literally big in the standings, even though it's super early. Yeah, Jack Campbell, this tonight does not happen without him. And we almost pulled out a game where, we only score 2 goals and we win despite them getting some quality opportunities. He stood on his head. It was one of those kind of inconsistent games too, where when the Rangers would get in, they would get some great quality scoring opportunities. But they only ended the game with 17 shots or something?
He made 21 saves, so 22 shots.
21 saves. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, a little bit back there.
But I think they were at 18 or 19 at the end of regulation. So
it was like floodgates at the end of the game. But credit to him for staying ready and getting us into overtime.
Yeah, and you even look at that Zibanejad goal, that's just a nasty shot. It's perfectly placed shot. It's just, if you're a goaltending coach, there's probably something you can sit here and break down and say, oh, you could have done this, you could have done that, whatever. But from a fan perspective, it's just a nasty goal. It's a nasty shot by Zibanejad. He's a great player, and it's a great goal from a high danger scoring area. And then the overtime goal, I don't want to be a Jack Campbell apologist, but it's just kind of an unlucky play where it just bounces off of 2 guys back and forth, and then you have Artemi Panarin standing 5 feet away from you, and he rips one top corner. It's a tough situation to be in. I understand there's probably things you can break down if you're a goaltending coach again, and if those come out and we hear those things over this next week, you and I can hop in here and say, what the hell was Jack Campbell thinking? He should have been doing this. We heard this from this goalie coach. But, we haven't heard those things yet. I think he played a pretty stellar game, and he earns those power plays of the day from us. So, good game by Jack Campbell, and that overtime was incredibly fun to watch. Just chances everywhere. It's amazing to see, too, we got to see some superstars within Canada playing against each other in the rivalries. Like you look at McDavid, Draisaitl, and like Suzuki, and then we looked at Caulfield coming down to the stretch for the playoffs, and like you even look at Winnipeg with Kyle Connor, Scheifele, and Wheeler. But you go and you play Austin Matthews, John Tavares, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, and you got Zibanejad, Adam Fox, Lafreniere, Artemi Panarin. Like, it just becomes so much more exciting because we haven't seen these names. So that was so fun to watch. But Goody, as we end this one out, let's do our grades of the game. So I can start this one off. You started last time, and I followed up right away with the exact same grade. We'll keep it quick and easy on this one. I'm going with the B+. We lost this game earlier in the regular season, but I do think that in terms of the overall play from last game, we did play better game against the Rangers tonight. We peppered them with shots. We limited them to shots against. The biggest problem, again, is just going to be start on time. Like, if we start on time, these games will start to look a whole lot different. We'll have much more success, and starting a game not trailing every single time is going to be very important to the success of this team. And I get that they did play better to start the beginning of this game, but we still start down a goal. And that's 3 of 4 games now we've started down a goal, and that puts you in a bad position. Now, the other one is just going to be, we got to capitalize more on these scoring chances. It's amazing to have 41 shots against a guy, but you can't continuously put up 1, maybe 2 goals every time you're taking 40, 45, 50 shots. Like, you got to put more in than 1 or 2 goals every time that happens, because it just can't last. I mean, at some point, it's going to break one way or the other, where we're going to take all these shots and we're going to score 8 goals, or it's going to take all these shots and then Sheldon Keefe's going to sit down and be like, all right, cut it out with all these random ass shots. Let's like limit it down and maybe just take like higher percentage shots, and then maybe it goes up, and I don't know, but there's going to be some balance at some point where that wall breaks and we figure out like, okay, if we're going to shoot 45 times on net, we got to score more than 1 time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go with a B- for my grade. Maybe a little bit harsh, but I totally agree with sorry, I totally agree with what you're saying, though, that the Leafs are going to need to convert. It's great to get all that pressure on net, but when you're losing games to teams that, to be honest, should be nowhere near you come the end of it all in the standings, and this is, what, the 4th game straight now that it's happened, it's not great news, so you got to take that at face value. I think that starting on time is important as well, but, there was some still opportunities where I think that Ottawa could have gotten one by us, where Jack Campbell had to bail us out. I mean, clearly you and I just went over a couple there when we're breaking down why he was our power play of the day.
The Rangers.
So, sorry, the Rangers. What did I say?
Yeah. Ottawa. We're still in that
Ottawa.
mindset. We're still in the mindset.
Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry. Just thinking about the previous opponents. But yeah, the Rangers got some opportunities there where I thought it could have just blown the game at the last second for us before we even get into overtime. I don't know. I just think you got to stay the course from the opening minute to the final minute, and the Leafs have had trouble doing that. So I think you up the overall effort going in over the course of the game, you'll get good results. But it's sitting at a B- for me tonight.
Well, Leafs fans, we dropped this one 2-1 against the Rangers tonight in overtime. We get a goal from Michael Bunting, assist from Morgan Rielly, and John Tavares' 200th point with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jack Campbell closes this one out with 21 saves and a .913 save percentage, but he grabs both Josh and I's power plays of the day. So shout out to Jack Campbell for an incredible performance there. Austin Matthews is back, and he looked great tonight. This guy was flying, and the goals will come to him. He will be a guy who will be on the board. I'd honestly, right now, I will put it, he will score on Friday against San Jose. I feel it coming. He's going to score 1, maybe 2
Put the mortgage
goals.
on it.
Put the mortgage on it. Austin Matthews will be scoring one of these. I think it's going to be Friday. He's going to score. But we will break down this Toronto Maple Leafs performance, what they need to do, some more roster news that we hear, some more lineup changes that we hear throughout this week. But that you can all find on this channel here. So make sure you subscribe as you close out this video. Hopefully you like this content. Make sure you like, comment on these videos. But most importantly, subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and every single subscriber we get along the way counts. We appreciate you all for following along this channel. But we will see you guys after the next game, Friday, October 22nd, against the San Jose Sharks. Leafs fans, see you guys soon. Keep believing.
Signing off.